Hi there BookTube, it's Eleanor here, and today I'm doing one of my September TBRs. So for the month of September I'm taking part in a readathon, which is a 2-week readathon, and I'll be putting a separate TBR up for that later. But I decided for September there was something that was really playing on my mind that I wanted to get done, and that's to do with Bookopoly. I'm starting to think towards the end of the year. I wanted to make sure that I've sort of rounded up a lot of sections of Bookopoly, and one of the things that we did at the beginning of the year, myself and Janet, is that we picked a selection for our community chest of books, which were books that we had heard recommended by people on BookTube, and that is the reason we picked them up. And I haven't read quite a few of mine, so I'm going to try and read them this month. So the first one, which is quite apt really, because it was a recommendation from Janet at Swirly Girly Reads, who I'm doing Bookopoly with, and that is Holding by Graham Norton. She loved this book, she gifted me this book, and I have still not read it, which is terrible. My grandmother has read it, but I have not. So I'm definitely going to be picking this one up this month because Janet's recommended it and I really need to get to it. Graham Norton, if you didn't know, is an Irish, he was sort of Irish comedian of sorts, but he's now got his own chat show. It's very comical. He chats to all the celebrities, and he's just got a really nice way about him. He's now written a book, which obviously, like a lot of people, I'm always a bit dubious about those celebrities that write books, but Janet has assured me that this is really good. So it's really, apparently, according to Janet, more of a story about people. It's set in Ireland and it's about a policeman. It's about this small community, and I think some bones or some remains of human remains are dug up, and this, we're sort of following that story and that sort of investigation and mystery, but also the people who make up this community, and I've heard it's good from Janet, so I shall be reading this one. The next one is a book that was recommended by Mercedes at Mercy's Bookish Musings, and that is The Trouble with Goats and Sheep by Joanna Cannon. I'm a bit nervous going into this one now because I have read 3 Things About Elsie and I did not really like it at all, and so I'm hoping that this Joanna Cannon will be much better for me. It's written from the perspective, I believe, of some young girls. It's set in the summer of 1976, and it's about 10-year-olds Grace and Tilly who decide to go looking for one of the local residents in their cul-de-sac or their village themselves. And I've heard from many people how good this is, and people that haven't liked 3 Things About Elsie have said they still like this one, so fingers crossed I fall into that camp, and I shall be reading that. Now, a book that was recommended to me by the lovely Brittany from Under the Radar Books, who is currently no longer making videos, and I'm not sure if she's coming back, but Brittany, if you watch videos still, I really miss you, and I hope you're doing wonderfully. But she recommended ages ago 6 Stories, which is by Matt Weslowski, and this I've heard loads of people read and say how good it is. Everyone compares this to the Serial podcast, where you're looking at sort of a mystery and unraveling things, and I haven't listened to that, and I'm not sure it's my thing, but this apparently is a story. It's set in 1997 and 2017, so it's like a dual timeline, and in the 1997 one there's a body found of a teenager in this sort of woody area, I believe, and then in 2017 we've got an investigative journalist who I think does do a podcast, who was going to sort of check out and delve into this mystery. So I've heard from everyone it's brilliant, so I really need to get to this one, but it was Brittany who I heard about it from first. Next, the lovely Caitlin from Kitty G. It was from her that I heard about this book and decided that I was going to pick it up, and that is Age of Assassins by R.J. Barker. I was lucky enough to see R.J. read, hear R.J. read from his book last year at 9 Worlds, and I will have been to 9 Worlds by the time you see this TBR, because it is in the beginning of August, which I'm very excited about. But I heard him read from this, and then I wasn't sure if it was for me. Caitlin read it, and I remember her saying, I think you'll really like this one, Eleanor. This is about a young assassin, and I think the sort of big thing that he has to do is to try and kill the heir to the throne, or kill yeah, the heir to the throne. That is his sort of big assassin test, and I think this fantasy sounds like it could be right up my street, and Caitlin thinks it might be, so I'm looking forward to trying this one. And another person who's no longer making videos but who I wish would come back is the lovely Melbourne on My Mind, and she is currently doing a podcast with Leanne from Literary Diversions, so go and check that out because it's really good. It's all about thrillers and mysteries, and I'm really loving that, so definitely go and check out Leanne's channel, and she has a link there to their podcast because it's really good. But she recommended a while back The Serpent King by Jeff Zentner, and I've had it on my shelf a while. I need to pick this one up. It's a young adult book, and it's set in a small town in the south, I think, and it says here that the main character's father's in prison for an unspeakable crime, and he is sort of shunned by his neighbours in this small religious Tennessee town. Him and his mother are trying to make ends meet. He's into his senior year, and he's got two friends, Travis and Lydia. Now I seem to remember, I think from people talking about this, that Lydia may have like a fashion blog and is sort of destined to be leaving and going off to New York or somewhere just as wonderful to carry on her blog after school. And it says Travis is an oddball who finds comfort from his violent home life in epic fantasy, and I think it's just the story of these three young people and their senior year, and I've heard it's really good, and Kirsty recommended it, so I really need to read this. So I will be reading this one this month. And then the final one is one that I have shown on a TBR before, but I never got around to reading, and for now, for the life of me, I can't remember who it was I heard about this one from. I will try and find out and let you know. But this is And I Darken by Kirsten White. This was a proof copy, so it doesn't actually look like this, but this is about a princess, Lady Dracule, who is ruthless, and I think it just sounds really interesting, and sort of a bit of a twist on that sort of Dracula origin story, really, because I don't know or think this involves vampires. I think it's more about the actual historical story of Count Dracula, and I think he was quite a vicious warrior. So I'm looking forward to this, and I will find out who recommended it. But that is a stack of 6 books which I will be endeavouring to finish in September. Keep an eye out as well for my TBR for the readathon I'm doing, because I'm really excited. It's a bit of a different one, and it's going to force me to catch up on some books in a particular genre that I have really been neglecting this year. So keep an eye out for that. It should be going up tomorrow, and that's it from me. Have you read any of these? Did you give any of these 5 stars? Which do you think I will like? And let's chat in the comments down below as always. Bye for now, BookTube.